What is up, ladies and gentlemen? This is M Cubed and I'm Schmook. Now, we had a crazy weekend, a crazy amount of news and awesome content from the Marvel Cinematic Universe. Of course, I'm talking about Deadpool and Wolverine and San Diego Comic Con. I have a special guest I cannot wait to bring on screen. You've seen him before, he's been around. But we saw the movie together, and I want to hear his thoughts, and of course, you want to hear mine. So let's get right into it. And so here is Bob.
Bob is back.
Awesome.
Bob is
Yeah,
back.
it's been a while, but you were on a good amount of
Yeah,
these there for a bit, so it's good to have you
yeah.
back.
Back with The Walking Dead going on.
Mm-hmm.
And that's coming back in September too.
It's true. Yeah, with San Diego Comic Con, we did not just get MCU news. We got Walking Dead shit. We got DC shit. It was a great weekend, but I guess before we get into the whole point of this video, which to me is mainly to discuss Deadpool and Wolverine, I want to say we can start a little bit with we can end with San Diego Comic Con, but overall I just want to say I was a little disappointed. I think there's some good shit there, but I was expecting a lot more. I was expecting like the whole you get the full slate of shit. You get more casting news. You get more projects put on the slate, shit like that. But they could be holding that off for D23, which is in like 3 weeks from now. I guess we'll see.
I'm on the other hand. I know we're mainly supposed to be talking about Deadpool Wolverine here, but I actually like the amount of stuff that they put out. I mean, if I'm looking back at Marvel, they're announcing all these shows that they're putting out. They're announcing all these movies, and obviously Jonathan Majors. There was that whole situation with him, so they're having to like rewrite, his big part in the cinematic universe. But I'm glad it's not so much just shoveling stuff out right now as making big projects, and hopefully if they spend more time on these individual projects, they'll turn out amazing.
Yeah, no, I mean, I'm with you. I mean, I know it's the thought process currently going over at Disney. Quality over quantity is the thought. So I get it. But we clearly know that there is shit going on. Okay? We know that we're getting a lot of different things from Marvel. But I digress. I guess we might as well, since we're talking about it, we don't have to spend too
Yeah,
much time on
let's
San
stick
Diego
with it.
Comic Con because I want this to be mainly about Deadpool and Wolverine because I didn't think there was too much to go over from San Diego. But of course, I guess we'll just start off with they showed some cool shit about the new Captain America movie, of course, with Sam Wilson as Captain America. They had the cast come out on stage. They had Harrison Ford come out on stage, which is really sick. I know they showed like a sizzle reel. Uh, Mainly, the main thing to take away from that clip is that President Ross was addressing the nation, and then he turns into the Red Hulk on stage, be like, "I am your president. I am a Hulk" type shit, which will be tight to see on the big screen.
Insane.
Yeah, that's gonna be awesome. Uh, and then they showed a little bit of shit for the Thunderbolts with an asterisk. We don't. I don't think it's going to be called Thunderbolts. I think it's going to be Dark Avengers. I think that's the whole point of why they're calling it Thunderbolts asterisk. Because for all we know, I mean, I feel like Falcon or Captain America: Brave New World is going to set up this movie
Secret
quite.
Wars. I don't know.
I
I
don't
think
know
it's going
about
to set up
Secret
Secret
Wars.
Wars.
I don't know if it's going to set up Secret Wars, but I know that movie's going to set up Thunderbolts. Uh, but yeah, they showed a little reel just showing like the team and how they all come together, and then it's Julia Louis-Dreyfus's character Val recruiting them. It's like you're not good guys, but there's worse guys. It's apparently a part of the whole tagline.
Yeah,
So
a big part of also what they mentioned was U.S. agent. He's going to have a storyline that redeems his character. Is going to make the audience love that character a lot more. And then there was also something that teased something that Sebastian Stan said about how you never know with Bucky. He seems to have 9 lives. So
yeah,
they left it open that is this going to be his last life or something like that. So there's a
maybe.
lot of stuff up in the air that they
I don't
teased
think they
during
killed
that part.
Bucky. There's no way they killed Bucky in this
I
movie.
don't see them doing it either, but hey, they're
They could.
teasing something. They're
They
teasing
could.
something.
And then again, they didn't seem to do too much for Thunderbolts. I do know Thunderbolts is going to be the movie that comes out before or during the same time as San Diego Comic-Con next year. So they'll probably do a similar thing where like on Thursday they had a Deadpool and Wolverine panel. So they'll probably have a Thunderbolts panel next year to hype up the movie, shit like that. But I know they're always going to put the most focus into the Captain America movie because that's the next movie up. It comes out in February. So I know they spent a lot of time on that. Then they played like a little trailer for Fantastic Four. I don't know if you saw it. It's kind of
I
sick.
saw it.
It's pretty sweet. And it's like they've only been filming for like a week, if that. So it's like crazy to see them like have that much footage already. You see them in all the astronaut suits, and
That's why I think they've been filming for a little bit longer. I don't know what it was exactly. They could be close to wrapping up filming. I don't know. They at least they've been filming for a while from what they showed.
They just started filming, but regardless, I like the vibe. I mean, it's clearly in a different universe. It's like a futuristic '60s setting, which is really cool. The Baxter building looks tight. And then I was
I don't mean to cut you off. I was going to say a little theory that I was going to throw out here is what if there's some kind of time dilation thing happening when they go on this trip where they supposedly get their powers? It's a time dilation. So when they come back out, it's like the present day and they go in during like the 60s and everything.
Well, that could be towards the end of the movie, but I'm hearing it's a different universe and Galactus is about to swallow them up, and then the TVA is going to take them because the whole idea is that they want to assemble a team to save the multiverse and get the best like people from these universes. So the idea is that Galactus wins in this movie. But again, so that's like the big thing from this trailer is that you get your first little glimpse at what Galactus looks like, and he looks cool. It's really just like it's really just his eyes, but it's like he looks huge, so that's pretty sick.
And he can also change his size.
Right. He's being big enough where he can be on Earth, and he doesn't have to swallow Earth right now.
But another massive thing regarding the Celestials is it was confirmed that their bodies are made of adamantium. So
that's true.
Adamantium is now going to be in.
I forgot about that. They fully dropped that adamantium is on Tiamat's body from the Eternals movie, right? Like the Celestial that's coming out of the Earth. So that's how we're going to get introduced to adamantium within the MCU. So that's going to be pretty sick. I think there's a good chance we might see like Stryker or Wolverine in Captain America Brave New World. So that's going to be pretty sweet. And of course, now Hugh Jackman's not the only one who's played Wolverine. So we can well, okay. I was going to have that be a little bit of our leeway into Deadpool and Wolverine. But I guess there is the big fucking news from San Diego Comic-Con that we can go over first.
Avengers Doomsday and Avengers Secret Wars.
Yes. So yes, they're completely done with the idea of Kang Dynasty. I kind of feel like they're probably going to use a good chunk of Michael Waldron's script, but I know they like kind of kicked his ass off these projects. But I'm sure they're going to have to start filming pretty soon because of course Doomsday is supposed to come out in May of 2026. So
there's still plenty of time there. I mean, the big thing is they got to make sure
they have to use certain concepts from that script. I know they got McFeely, who was one of the co-writers to some of the best MCU movies out there, like of course the first Captain America movie, the entire Captain America trilogy, and then the last two Avengers movies are the so Endgame and Infinity War. So you get at least half of these guys to write. I don't know what's going on with the other guy. I'm hearing it's more like it's personal reasons why he can't come back. So I hope all's good with him. But McFeely is back, so we have at least half of that creative.
And we got the Russo brothers directing.
Of course, and that was officially confirmed. It was more or less already confirmed, but like just to have them come out on stage and be like, "We are back. We are directing Secret Wars," and it's tight. Pretty awesome. Also, if you're joining the stream, say hey in the chat so I know who's in here. But we're deciding to go over San Diego Comic-Con first before we get into the real meat of the stream, which is Deadpool and Wolverine. But just wanted to go over this a little bit first because it wasn't as much as I thought we were going to get, so I'm not going to do a whole stream on it. But obviously want to talk the big news that came out of it. So, of course, we have 2 Avengers movies coming out with Robert Downey Jr. returning, but as Doctor Doom, as Victor Von Doom. They introduced him as Victor Von Doom on stage. So, is he a Tony variant? I don't know. They might just have it where it's just an actor coming back to play a different role. I mean, we literally just saw it in Deadpool and Wolverine, where you get Johnny Storm. You get Chris Evans back, and he was originally the Human Torch way back in the day, and then they casted him as Captain America. So I think it's a very doable thing, especially since, Doom can wear the mask the entire time. And I could see this being like if you're a baseball fan, for example, the highest paid player in baseball is Shohei Ohtani, and there's a reason. He's a two-way player. Do you think with RDJ, is he getting paid a massive contract to play those 2 roles as Iron Man and Doom? Because that's the question.
I can see him maybe doing some Iron Man stuff in a flashback, or maybe being a variant. But quite honestly, at this point, I'll say he wasn't my hope for coming back into the MCU. And if they make him a Tony variant, I'm going to be kind of sad. Victor Von Doom is such a complex character.
He's my favorite
villain. It needs to be Victor. It can't be anybody but Victor. It can't. That's my opinion.
Because my thought process is it's like get someone else to play Doom and just have Tony come back as superior Iron Man, be this evil Iron Man if you're going to go this route. He does not have to be Doom. But if he is actually Victor Von Doom, I'm fine with the casting. And you can still have him be Iron Man within the movie, especially since Doom will probably just be wearing a mask the whole time.
Right.
And I kind of hope they make him look bigger than he is, because I do think it's a little bit of a whiff on the casting, because I want Doom to be like a menacing force. And RDJ is not the biggest guy in the world. So
he's my size.
He is your size. So those are my only like gripes. I think I trust the process. I like the idea that it might be Doom doing like the idea that he wants to take over Tony Stark's body so he can get all the Stark tech. That could be a potential what's going on. And then Doomsday could end with we see the actual actor who's going to play Doom, which I think that could be a neat idea.
See, I have faith in Marvel. Like I'm going to give them a benefit of the doubt. I'm not going to let these castings get into my head, because I know Robert Downey Jr. is a great actor. I know he could do the role. Won an Oscar. But my biggest thing is, he was just the main character in the franchise. I mean, you could argue he still is the main character, but now I have the same kind of feeling regarding Pedro Pascal. I love him as an actor, but he wouldn't have been my first choice as Reed Richards. But I wouldn't have pictured him as Reed.
I'm with you.
I already have very low hopes. I have a low bar for the Fantastic Four, because my entire life it's been bomb after bomb for those movies. And so I'm hoping, I'm praying, because these next 2 Avengers movies aren't going to do well if that Fantastic Four movie doesn't go well. In my honest opinion, the rest of the Marvel Universe franchise is kind of resting on the Fantastic Four movie. Because if it's going to be, Avengers Doomsday around Doctor Doom, well, you can't have Doctor Doom without the Fantastic Four. I mean, you could, but
I could see them going a different route with this. I'm just hoping that Doom is not a Tony Stark variant. That's where I'm not going to be happy with the direction they're going. I could be okay with the idea if it's like because I still think this could have been a better idea if you have RDJ be Superior Iron Man and Iron Man from 2 different universes, and you can have it be a big inspiration from the Jonathan Hickman's Secret Wars, where you have Reed Richards and the Maker, and of course the Maker is Reed Richards from the Ultimate Universe. So it could have been like this evil Reed Richards and this good Reed Richards, but instead you flip it with Tony Stark, and I think that could have been a little bit of the better idea. But instead, I think they're just doing it with Doom, and I'm really hoping it's not the case. I don't want Doom to be a Tony variant. I like the idea that he could be taking over the body of Tony Stark, but we will see. I trust the process. I like after Deadpool and Wolverine, I think there's a plan, and I have faith because they got the dream team back. You have one of the writers, you have both of the directors, and you have RDJ back. So this should kick ass.
Yeah. All we can do is wait and see, and I'm excited.
All right,
let's get into Deadpool.
Yeah, let's get into what the people came here for. Also, if you're watching the stream, say hey in the chat. Let us know your thoughts on Deadpool and Wolverine and your thoughts on Robert Downey Jr. as Dr. Doom. Is he Victor? I think so because they did introduce him. But anyway, let's get into Deadpool and Wolverine. First things first, I love this movie. I've only seen it the one time. I wish I could have seen it one more time over the weekend, but it just didn't happen.
I think I might be seeing it tomorrow again.
I might be seeing it Wednesday, so I'm hoping to get another watch in, and then I think I want to do a future video where maybe go a little bit into a deeper dive on the movie, where this is more of like a review and overview of the film. But
spoiler alert, by the way.
Yeah. This is full spoilers. But anyway. My plan is eventually to maybe go deeper into the movie and just go deep into what I think is going to happen in the future of the MCU, which of course I'd love to have you on there for, Bob. But I'll let you know.
Just let me know.
Anyway, Deadpool and Wolverine. This movie was, I'd say, everything I wanted.
It scratched an itch that I forgot I had.
Agreed. I haven't felt this way coming out of a movie in a long time. Like of course I'll see a good movie in the theaters and I'll be amped. But to watch something that I am in love with, which is Marvel, and to come out fucking gleeful. Like again, I really enjoyed last summer seeing Guardians of the Galaxy 3, right? I thought that was a good experience. I came out of that movie pretty happy with the MCU as it stood. Even though I wasn't very happy with the movie that came before and the movie that came before that, which was Ant-Man and the Wasp: Quantumania and Thor: Love and Thunder. Those were the last two we got before Guardians Volume 3. So I was already having a pretty poor taste in my mouth with the MCU as a whole. And then after that, the Marvels came out. I wasn't really that interested in seeing the Marvels. So I didn't even see it in theaters. I haven't
even watched it yet. I'm watching it tonight. But
are you? Okay, yeah. So I did so happen to catch it once it went on Disney Plus. I like it, but again, it just doesn't fill that itch. Guardians, I'll say, filled it, but I haven't felt that since probably No Way Home. Before Guardians 3. So Guardians 3 helped, and I think it's one of the better MCU movies. But this was an MCU movie where I'm like, okay, I'm getting all this nerd shit thrown at me instead of just a good story. I'd say Guardians was more so on the story side of things, where this was more like, okay, fan servicey, but not in a way that's like, all right, do you remember this? You remember that? I mean, it was just fun. This was a fun movie to go see. Even from the beginning, like I was hooked.
Great opening
sequence. This movie fucking started, bro. Like, it starts off like in almost any way a Deadpool movie starts, where it's like it's a little bit of a flash forward, and where he's like, "Oh, I'm gonna take you back."
It starts in the middle, goes to the beginning, then it goes to the end.
Right. So it had that formula, and we get arguably one of the best opening sequences of any comic book movie, in my humble opinion.
Genius.
You start this shit with Deadpool desecrating the grave of Logan. Brilliant. And like, there's a lot of people who are just going to be like, man, this is like just a spit in the face on Logan's legacy. I'm like, no, Logan still exists. This is just a fun way to continue with Hugh Jackman. That isn't even destroying Logan's legacy. Because you're not bringing back Logan. You're getting a different Wolverine variant. We are just lucky enough to be able to have Hugh Jackman back.
And this wasn't even our universe. This was universe 10005 or something.
Yeah, it was 10005. But anyway, this opening sequence was awesome. Like the dance moves from Deadpool to Bye 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 by NSYNC. And it was just perfect how the music matched all the action. And just seeing him dance like in place was just so good.
Full body, throwing his body into it.
Yeah, threw his whole body into it. It is confirmed that was not Ryan Reynolds. But that's okay. It was a dance double. It would have been really fucking sweet if it happened to be Ryan Reynolds, but it's okay. It's still sick. It lives in my head rent free since I saw the movie. Anyway, but again, him just beating the shit of all these TVA agents with Logan's skeleton is pretty sweet. But then you get the awesome.
Let me say, I'm going to skip forward a little bit from this opening sequence. They never really made it clear why him and Vanessa were like kind of splitting up. They kind of hinted at it, that him being distant, him being like, oh, I don't have a purpose, I don't matter, or whatever. But they never really touched on why they were splitting up.
They touched on it a little bit. It was just the fact that he doesn't have drive. You know, it's just like it's like, who are you? Like, you're not the guy I fell in love with. So what if they didn't accept you? Just keep working at it, and they might one day.
That's the only part of the movie that really was distasteful for me, because you were right when you were saying like it wasn't too much in the fan service, it wasn't too much in the geekiness. You know, it still had that humor, it still satisfied that itch that we all had. But to me, it still missed a little bit of that main story drive, of that love interest thing. It didn't have a whole lot of that, and I kind of needed to see a little bit more, at least in terms of why isn't, you know, Wade Wilson staying with Vanessa, or why isn't Vanessa staying with Wade? Because it's kind of brushed over that whole part of the storyline. And it kind of, you know, when Nova eventually went into his head later on in the movie, it seemed that she altered his thoughts of it, but those were also thoughts that we didn't see, you know? So it was kind of like, it felt like some stuff was missing.
No, I'm with you. I definitely feel like they could have added probably 20 more minutes to this movie instead of
it was an hour 45. Like, it was an hour 50.
It was like, no, I know it was like a 2-hour movie, but like the credits were like maybe like 9 minutes or something. I know like the official runtime of the movie itself is like 159, but which is a decent length for a comic book movie. It's the longest Deadpool movie there is. But I would have liked 20 more minutes solely for like exposition, like the term of give us more of those story beats so I can be more into the overall plot. Because to me, there's not really that much of a plot. Just seeing cool shit, hype up Logan, hype up Wolverine, or hype up Wade, and then get to the absolute ending to take down a villain, right? So there wasn't that much meat to this. There's great shit that we saw with unbelievable action and awesome cameos, but
I think the meat was subtle. I saw the meat.
You saw the meat.
Yeah, no, but anyway,
again, it's not the best story out there. I think the film is just perfect because of what it is. It's a Deadpool movie, so just like the whole idea of breaking the fourth wall, awesome humor, awesome action, and then the cameos are like, because this is the multiverse saga, make this movie what it is, and it's epic. But again, like with the Vanessa thing, that's one thing for me I didn't fuck with. I'm like, okay, you spend the entirety of the last movie like she dies and he's depressed and he's able to save her life and bring her back, just to undo that and have them not be together anymore until the end of the movie, which they seem to be back together. But it's like there wasn't really much of an emotional draw there to make that them finally be kind of back together, have it make sense, and me be back.
Yeah.
Like I think it was a part of the story that honestly could have just been cut out, and the movie would have worked just as fine, unless they were able to have that and that a little bit of additional time to make it make sense.
Right, because at the end of the last movie, they were ready to have kids. Like,
right, and there's the point where Cassandra Nova puts her hand inside Wade, and like shows this whole sequence of them breaking up, right? And he's just like, "That's not what she said." Then how about you show me what she says later? Okay, like that's you add the actual dialogue scene into this movie, I probably would have enjoyed that emotional payoff a little bit more.
Yeah. But anyway, let's get into like some of the cameos.
Well, I still want to talk about. I want to say one more thing about the story that I didn't fuck with. I thought it was a good scene when Wade is interviewing for the Avengers, talking to Happy Hogan, right? So I'm confused by the fact how he's in Earth 616 the MCU. 6 years later, he's back in his universe. Is the time traveling thing that Cable has also multiversal? I guess it might be, but I don't
mean, if
understand.
you this is going to get a little bit too, I guess, scientific-y. If we go into like, the whole time thing that the Ancient One was explaining in Infinity War, if you go back in time, when that moment you go back to from then on is your present. So it's going to be a different branch of reality if you go back. So, whatever he's using for it has to jump from that one point, kind of like use the same time travel tech that they used in Endgame. But
But that time travel was only within their timeline, the sacred timeline. So I don't understand how he's in the sacred timeline before he even gets introduced to the TVA. That's the part I don't understand.
yeah,
Like how
I
he
think
interviews with the Avengers or with Happy
it
Hogan.
could be his universe's Avengers, unless it did say Earth 616.
It literally said Earth
Okay.
616 when we see him in the office with Happy, and then it says after the scene 6 years later Earth 10005. So
So
that's
this
what I don't
movie is
understand.
just
How he went to a
definitely
different
taking
universe.
place, at least when he goes to see Happy, we knew at that point that Iron Man was dead because of all the stuff on the wall. I don't know if you caught it. I like how they subtly covered up Peter in that picture of him and Tony. They
Yeah.
they subtly covered that up. And I was like,
Well, yeah,
but
and the way you know it's that photo is one. If you see Endgame, you know which photo it is.
it's the
Yeah, and then you also know that that's the helmet that the kid wore at the Stark Expo in Iron Man 2, which they seem to claim is Peter Parker, and that scene confirms it to me. There's also a lot of other good shit within that, like you see the briefcase from Iron
Iron
Man
Man
2
2.
as well. I
The
know.
little Ferris wheel from the first one on his desk. I don't know, but
I remember after the movie talking to Brad about it. I thought it was a very great point that I think would have made it hilarious if this was actually at Marvel Studios and not Earth 616. And he's talking to John Favreau and not Happy Hogan. And the big guy isn't Tony Stark. The big guy is Kevin Feige. I thought that would have been a little cooler, but it still worked. It was good. But since
kind of
this was 6
reminiscent
years,
of that scene in She-Hulk when they saw the
yeah,
movie thing. Anyway,
similar, right? Anyway, I liked how. So this was technically a scene that happened before the snap because it was 6 years before, which is like the time Deadpool 2 came out, which was like 2018. And of course, the snap happened in 2019 in the Avengers universe, and then not everyone's back until 2024, I believe. Uh, anyway, I guess we can get into the point where this movie really kicks into gear. All right, so the TVA comes to Deadpool on his birthday. Mr. Paradox is like, we want you in the sacred timeline. Your universe is doomed. And he's like, what? I'm not going to leave my friends and family behind. But he's like, oh, you'll be a part of the main timeline with all these awesome characters and how you're. He's like, why is Thor holding me? Why am I dying? Why is Thor crying? What did I do? Of course, that's going to be a Secret Wars moment, which I cannot wait for. They're clearly going to use that scene in Secret Wars in some way. I don't know how they're going to build up to it. It's going to be awesome. But anyway, but then he steals this TVA guy's thing. He's like, oh, I'm going to find an anchor, which is, of course, you get told by Mr. Paradox what an anchor being is to a universe. It's like once that anchor being dies, this universe is doomed to fail. It will die. But he's just trying to accelerate the process. And of course, Logan was the anchor being of Deadpool's universe, where we also get that confirmation that Deadpool and Logan are within the same universe. So now he wants to find different Logans, which is what I think this is the point in the movie where we're in overdrive from here on out. Because I'd say besides the opening sequence, I don't love this little part of the movie where it's like, Wade's birthday. The happy scene's fine, but once we get to the universe jumping, we see all these different Wolverine variants. This movie goes fucking oof. It's balls to the wall from here on out. So of course we get some incredible variants of Logan.
incredible. Short King Logan.
Yeah, that was the first one we see is Short King. So it's trying to clearly not the actual size of Wolverine in the comics. They're kind of like making fun of that idea that he's supposed to be short.
A little bit of a caricature.
Yeah. But it was funny. I like that one. Then you see Age of Apocalypse Logan, which is the one where he loses a hand. You see the Uncanny X-Men 251 cover where he's on the X Cross, which is an awesome visual.
Insane visual.
Yeah, that was good. You see Patch, and of course these are all played by Hugh Jackman. Oh, you see Old Man.
For one.
You also see Old Man Logan, where it's still Hugh Jackman older, and where he's sitting on like a rocking chair, which is very Clint Eastwood like, which of course what Old Man Logan's inspired by. But then we get the one variant who isn't Hugh Jackman. There's only one other person of all time to play live action Wolverine. That one person has been Hugh Jackman forever. Now there's another. Only one other person has played Wolverine. And that person's Henry Cavill. That's so sick. The Cavalrine. I know when he showed up, I lost my shit. It was so awesome. And he looks perfect.
Beautiful.
He's huge.
Beautiful.
He's huge. And he's working on his bike. He has a cigar in the mouth. The hair looks perfect. He's wearing a wife beater. This is perfect Wolverine. And I'm like, is there a reason why he's the only one who shows up in this fucking movie? Is he our future Wolverine?
I won't go so far as to say that. It might be a situation like John Krasinski playing Reed Richards. All right?
It could be.
Like a one and done type of deal. I mean, I'd love to see him come back. And if it wasn't him, I'd want Daniel Radcliffe.
I agree. I was expecting to see Dan as one of these variants. I think that would have been sick.
But, I love seeing Henry in that. I'm just not having any kind of hopes or wants or wishes that
I agree.
Henry's coming back.
I do think it's odd, though, that he's the only one who's not played by Hugh Jackman.
I also love Deadpool's little quip at him. He's like, we'll treat you better than the guys down the street.
Great.
So,
great. No, that scene is brilliant. And he does, the fist pump thing that he does in Mission Impossible to open up his claws as he punches Deadpool. Such an awesome sequence. I lost my shit during that because that's a highlight of the movie for me. That's
not the only one I lost my shit at. That's not the only one I did. I think you might have skipped over it. The one where Wolverine pulls out of his claws, and you see in the reflection of those claws the Incredible Hulk.
We did skip. I forgot about that one. Yeah, that one's awesome. And it's to me, that's the perfect Wolverine costume as well. I love the brown with the yellow more than the blue with the yellow. But that's a personal preference, but I think he looks perfect in that. And how he smiles when he opens his claws and you see the Hulk reflection in the claws. That's so brilliant. And apparently they used a Hulk.
Edward Norton.
They used footage from the Ang Lee Hulk, the Eric Bana Hulk.
Okay.
Even though it's just behind the back shot, but that I saw a side by side today. I'm like, yeah, that's that. And of course, that's part of this OG time of superheroes. So it's cool that they brought in Ang Lee's Hulk in a way. So that was sick. And of course, I think we are without a doubt getting a Wolverine versus Hulk scene eventually in the near future, potentially in a Doomsday or Secret Wars. I'd say more likely Secret Wars. I was really hoping Avengers 5 was going to be Avengers versus X-Men over Doomsday, but I'm still excited for Doomsday. Yeah.
I mean, hey, you don't know what's going to happen. It could be some kind of thing where Doom's universe and Earth 616 are colliding in an incursion event.
I think it is an incursion event. I think it has to. So I think this could be the Doom or the Tony of the Illuminati universe, like the Earth 838 from Doctor Strange Multiverse of Madness. Or he could be a part of this Fox universe, which is the 10005. I think or it could be some other random universe that's having an incursion with Earth 616, but who knows? But I think, no matter what, I think Avengers 5 is an incursion event, which will lead to Secret Wars. Look at the kitty.
There's Ash.
It's Ash.
He wants some attention because we have a new kitty in the room, so he doesn't get to see me all that much.
Yeah, poor guy.
Yeah.
Anyway, so we're only at the Wolverine fucking variants, really. So now we meet the Wolverine for the movie. Apparently, the worst Wolverine, the one who let everyone down, got the X-Men killed, got probably Avengers killed, all that type of shit, right? And I do really love this take on Wolverine. I think Hugh Jackman kicked ass in this movie. A part of me was wanting more from him though, but then we got certain scenes. I'm like, you know what, Hugh kicked ass. I just know there was a good point there where I'm like, damn, Hugh needs to be doing more in this movie. But
Oh yeah.
let's say once we got to like that car sequence where he's just like ripping Wade a new asshole, basically, or like mentally and physically, where he's just going after him with words, and then they fight in the car, and it's an epic action sequence. But I like that first fight scene where they're fighting in front of the 20th Century Fox logo.
Beautiful.
Like these sequences were epic. Every fight sequence in this movie kicked so much ass. Like the two fights between Deadpool and Wolverine, the fight with Deadpool and Wolverine, and of course, we get this new team that gets assembled within the film.
I gotta admit that was my least favorite fight.
The one with the cameo squad.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think so too. I liked it though, but I think the other ones were shot.
My biggest issue with it was you will hardly ever hear me say this, but it needed more slow motion shots. I thought the camera work could have been better. Everything was moving too fast.
I agree.
Everything moved too fast. I couldn't enjoy watching Blade kick some ass.
Wesley Snipes.
X-23.
Yeah.
Like Elektra, Gambit. Like I wanted to see them all like move smoother than what I did.
I like how that was my first thought too. When watching the sequence, I'm like, yeah, we could have used some slow mo. You do get awesome shots of each of these characters basically kicking ass in their own way. But I agree. I think there easily could have been a moment or two where it's just slowed down because I agree. Like the action was just a little too quick and you don't get to highlight these characters as well. Regardless, I did love that action sequence. But again, Deadpool and Wolverine versus the Deadpool Corps was cooler. Of course, because you get Wolverine in the mask, which is sick.
Oh yeah.
But then I think the car fight was my favorite action sequence of the
entire
entire
movie. That was the best one, honestly.
I think it was clearly the best.
You saw it ended with him fucking wrapping up Deadpool in the seatbelts. That's the only way it could end. But
yeah, right. And of course, it's all being played to music from the hit Grease. And of course,
not only Grease, The Greatest Showman.
And then it starts off with The Greatest Showman. I kind of wish it was just that whole song the whole time, but I did enjoy the song they used. But it was funny. Of course, we're forgetting one of the other main cameos here. Is that Ash?
He's in this. Yeah, he's in this shot.
I know, but he keeps like blurring out, so it's like making you go invisible, Bob.
No, the best cameo.
Of course, it's Chris Evans.
It's Chris Evans as Johnny Storm.
It was epic. The second I saw it was Chris Evans, I'm like, no fucking way they're doing Johnny. That's so sweet. I knew for a fact the second I saw it was Chris Evans. I'm like, dude, it's clearly Johnny.
And there's Abigail.
Hey, Abigail.
But no, I thought that Chris Evans, I was not expecting that. I'm so glad that I stayed off the internet before.
I was expecting everyone else that we got. I called all of them. I was not expecting to actually get the Chris Evans as Johnny Storm. I heard some rumblings of it at one point, but I knew for a fact Wesley was going to be in this movie. I knew Jennifer Garner was going to be in the movie. And then, of course, we knew X-23 was going to be in the movie because of the last trailer. The only other one I wasn't super certain on was Channing Tatum as Gambit, but I knew there was a good shot we were going to get him.
The only one that I thought we might see in like an after-credit scene was Spider-Man, but
I think they want to save it.
They probably want to save that, yeah.
It's going to happen. It is, but what I'm excited for now is that the fact that we're probably going to get a sequence of Hugh Jackman's Wolverine with Tobey Maguire's Spider-Man trying to take down Robert Downey Jr.'s Doom. That's pretty sweet. Like, that's going to be epic. But even though I was always kind of wanting it to be like, oh, it's already Jay's Iron Man with those two taking on Doom, played by a different actor. But maybe it could be both. I'm hoping it can be.
I mean, hey, isn't Tom Cruise another fan cast for Tony?
Ooh, that'd be kind of tight if they get a Tom Cruise Iron Man variant to team up with these two to take on Robert Downey Jr.'s.
Wasn't it theorized back in
Multiverse of Madness?
Yeah,
we really thought we were gonna get Tom Cruise Superior Iron Man, but so we might get it this time. That'll be sweet. That'll be sweet. I kind of hope we get a different Steve Rogers variant though, like Jensen Ackles, who was originally supposed to be Captain America.
Oh, that would be insane.
Yeah, that'd be tight. And of course, he's Soldier Boy now, so he is a different Cap in a different universe, kind of.
Well, to be fair, they only have one season left. So
yeah, but that's another bit of San Diego Comic-Con news is that they're doing a different spinoff of The Boys, which is like a prequel with him and whoever the Nazi girl is. I can't remember her name.
Storm or something like that. Not Storm. What am I thinking? Anyway,
I will say I think there was a clear I want to say void of X-Men characters within this movie.
I didn't think so. I disagree because we had Toad, we also had Pyro, we had
the
shitty Juggernaut,
like the X-Men. Like yeah, you got Gambit, which is sick. I'm so happy we got that. But I know the whole idea is to have this Wolverine when we get the Secret Wars, see his, like, maybe not his Storm or his Scott, his Jean or his Beast, but we will see all of them in these movies in comic accurate costumes, and that is going to be so awesome. I love what they've been doing with the costume department as of late. Because I think Wolverine's costume is great. Deadpool's is perfect in this movie. And of course, when you see the Marvels, there's an after credit scene, which I'm sure you know about, where Beast, and he's wearing glasses and his lab coat. So it's like we are getting accurate shit within the MCU, and I am all for it. Ever since we got that final shot of Spider-Man in No Way Home, I'm like, oh shit, we are getting completely accurate shit within the MCU. So I'm amped.
Yeah.
I'm trying to think if there's any big things that we're missing. Of course, there's like the fun like lines of dialogue that like hint at other shit, like, you know, talking about how Daredevil died going to Cassandra's lair, who of course is Ben Affleck's Daredevil. And like Deadpool just says, I'm sorry, and then Jennifer Garner's just like, it's okay, it's cool. Because of course they're divorced in real life. So it's like a fun little blah, you know.
There's also that fun little line about, you know, Hugh Jackman and his wife.
Oh, dude, that one scene. That made me my jaw was on the floor with that line.
You knew that just had to be improv, and they just had to keep it in.
Had to be, dude. There's no way.
But no, I watched an interview about that particular scene with the dog, and Ryan was saying like it took so long, like so many takes, and like one of the assistants on set just kept shoving random stuff into his mouth just so the dog would actually like tongue his throat. And like it said it took him so long to film that scene. But
that's awesome. But it was perfect. Speaking of which, Dogpool, one of the best supporting characters in any movie. Awesome. Yeah. She's great.
It's going to break the internet when that dog passes.
I know. Dude, Trilly blew frankly, one of my favorite line deliveries within the entire movie is after the fight. Deadpool's like, you want to get some shawarma? Hilarious. And then they're eating the shawarma, and then he just, once he hears the dog bark, he throws it on the ground, and the way he just goes, fuck, yeah. Like how he delivered that, I'm like, that is a perfect line. Like, this movie is so sweet. Again, that whole sequence at the end, too, after the fight with the Deadpool Corps.
Yeah, we had another few secret cameos in that. Nathan Fillion was the floating head.
Yeah.
He voiced the floating head. It was Blake Lively as Girl Pool, whatever.
Lady Deadpool, yeah.
Lady Pool. And then, you know, both of Ryan Reynolds' kids were Baby Pool and Kid Pool.
Yep.
And then the biggest one, in my opinion, is Matthew McConaughey as Cowboy Pool.
Was that official?
Yeah, Matthew McConaughey was Cowboy Pool.
It did say that in the credits?
Yeah.
Cool.
I'm serious. It was Matthew
Cool.
McConaughey.
Yeah, sweet. It didn't sound like McConaughey though, but that's sweet.
Yeah, I didn't notice it either. So I was like,
I knew Lady Deadpool was definitely Blake, and I heard about how it was Ryan's kids, his Kid Pool and Baby Pool. But yeah, it's sweet about Matthew McConaughey. Anyway, I love that whole fight sequence is so sick. When you eventually they fight through the bus, you get a nice little Stan Lee cameo. You see that this fight is all taking place on Main Street, which is awesome because, of course, that's a reference back to the first Deadpool movie where he gets shot in the butthole. He's like, right up Main Street. So I think that's a fun thing that I caught. And, of course, you get that awesome shot of them jumping out of the bus. And you see Deadpool and Wolverine in like a completely comic book shot that I've seen, like one of the most comic booky shots I've seen from Marvel, where you see, of course, Wolverine with the mask and Deadpool both looking perfect. It was great. And then, of course, you get the epic sequence with Like a Prayer from Madonna, and it takes Deadpool and Wolverine to save this universe. And then that's why they become the new anchors of this universe. And that's why this universe is no longer dying, because they are the new anchors, which is cool that the idea of the anchor can die, but then someone can do something to make them the new anchors.
I'm not going to lie. I would have loved, and I would have been okay with, I would have been okay with Deadpool not necessarily saving the universe, maybe failing to save the universe, but taking, his friends with him to 616.
Yeah, I would have preferred that. I would have liked a little bit more closure with him being within the MCU officially, but of course he'll be there eventually. There's no doubt in my mind.
Yeah. But hey,
all that made me think of was that I think Tony was our anchor with Earth 616, but I think potentially after the events of No Way Home, I could see Strange or Spidey being the new anchor, and that they're going to dive deep into that within these next movies. Where Doom wants to probably murder one of them, and then accelerate that universe dying, so he can make his own world in his image, and that's how we're going to get Secret Wars.
That's fair.
Yeah.
I also was happy with the ending, not necessarily getting a after credit scene, because I like how I like how the scenes that were playing in the credits were kind of like paying homage to all the movies from Fox that came before.
It was great.
Like you saw the videos of Charles, and you saw even images from Fantastic Four movies.
Right, and that's what made this movie special. It was. Yes, it brought Deadpool into the MCU, but it was more about the legacy of Fox, and this was a goodbye, especially by seeing all these old characters who never got their official goodbyes, or even their introductions in general, like with Channing Tatum's Gambit. So it's cool to finally have that. And when we get to Secret Wars, I think that's when we're going to get everything that we could ever dream of. So I'm not worried about it. I think we're not done with the multiversal saga yet. But a part of me is a little afraid. I think for being called the multiversal saga, I think besides it's literally No Way Home, this, Multiverse of Madness, and Loki. Those are the only projects that are very multiversal, besides the end of the Marvels, I guess. But are the next two Avengers the only movies that's going to be multiversal from here on out?
I would say probably not. I think they might try to make those two the only two multiversal ones, considering the fact that they had an entirely different direction that they were taking the Marvel Universe. But they had to scrap that and change it because, Jonathan Majors,
right,
all that stuff happened. So they had to take it in an entirely different direction. Disney in the past, if you look at like Star Wars and, She-Hulk and Miss Marvel, whatever, is it Miss Marvel? Yeah, Miss Marvel. They were shoveling out content that we wanted to see. Maybe it wasn't the best content, but we still wanted this stuff. But they've been shoveling stuff out. They need to be focusing more on the quality than the quantity at this point, in my opinion, just so we can get good stuff that's going to last. Whereas, we've forgotten about She-Hulk at this point.
Oh yeah.
We've forgotten about Miss Marvel.
But we need
Some of the
these.
stuff that's come out, they just it's kind of just been forgotten
Well, they need
because
to
it
treat
wasn't
shit.
memorable.
They need to treat it all more like a comic book and less of a shared cinematic. That's how I feel Deadpool and Wolverine was. It was very much isolated but still connected. It felt like its own story. I mean, that's what they need to do, and then have like these big movies be like your crossover event type shit.
Mm-hmm.
I think that's how you can have success, by having these very isolated stories. That's just a good story within a comic book world. And then when you get an Avengers, Doomsday, or Secret Wars, that's where you can bring it all together and have it be this epic event type of film. That's what Deadpool and Wolverine kind of was. So we'll see. But clearly they have to take this to the bank and run, because Deadpool is the 8th highest grossing opening weekend of all time now. It made $205 million opening weekend, which is like absurd. That's monumental, especially for an R-rated movie. Like, they are so happy with how it works out. One, it's going to open the doors for more R-rated content potentially, like a Midnight Suns or Blade potentially becoming rated R. And I'm amped because now we can finally dive into what comics are supposed to be, meant for a broad audience that anyone can just enjoy. So I think that might do it, Bobby. I think
might do it for this
all the
episode.
big things, I believe.
Yeah.
Awesome. Well, if you're still watching, make sure to like and subscribe. If you're watching later, do the same thing. You can see Bob over here. He's one of my best buds. We will do this again sometime in the near future. We'll probably just talk about what our predictions are for the future of Marvel, which I'm excited for. I think that'll be a fun video. Yeah, make sure to like and subscribe. Leave your comments down below. Let me know your favorite parts within this film. And who is your favorite cameo? Mine might be, it's definitely going to be Chris Evans and Henry Cavill. I think those were the two that blew my mind the most. But also, yeah, no, it was sweet. Gambit was sweet. And Wesley he might have been the most badass out of the bunch too. So it's like, this movie was great. I love it. Yeah, I guess this is it. Bob, you want to say bye to the folks?
Stay safe out there.
Always. All right. Peace out, guys. It's been fun. Bye-bye.